And with that, we say hello and welcome to a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ from the National Championship. Hakeem Dermish alongside Mike O'Donnell and Avery Johnson. Michigan, a masterclass as they tear through the tournament and cut down nets here in Indianapolis. Here's how it went down from Lucas Oil Stadium. UConn chasing a third national championship in 4 seasons. Michigan chasing their second national title ever and first since 1989. Yaxel Lendeborg, the Big Ten Player of the Year, banged up. He's playing. Let's go. Early first half, Elliot Cadeau, don't you know, reverse layup plus the foul. Wolverines up by 4. Cadeau scored 7 of his team's first 11 points. Just over 3 minutes left of the half. Tied at 25, Adai Mara to Yaxel. Blaze it up and in, up 2. Only made bucket of the half of the hobbled Michigan star. Played all 20 minutes in the half. 45 seconds left. Lendeborg. Roddy Gale Jr. elevates. Two-handed putback over Terrace Reed Jr. Avery, my oh my, what a moment.
Yeah, playing above the rim. That really gave them some energy going into the second half.
Wolverines up by 4 going into the break. Early second. Lendeborg, floater and 1. Up 8 after the made free throw. Lendeborg, 9 of his 13 in the second half. 36 minutes. Gutting it out. A few minutes later. Cadeau, their first made 3 of the game, Mike. They started 0 of 10.
And it just felt like Cadeau made a big bucket every single time that Michigan needed one.
Wolverines up 11, their largest lead. 9 minutes left. Alex Caravan playing in his final game. Steal. Let me get that steal. Let me get that bucket. Huskies down 7 and keeping UConn in it. Few possessions later, Michigan by 5. Caravan turns it over. Michigan on the break. Gale Tamara on the alley-oop. Go get it, young fella. Wolverines up by 7, Avery.
He didn't have to jump very high when you're 7-3.
Just under 3 minutes left. UConn down 9. Caravan catch, shoot, 3. Give it to me, Alex Caravan. Got it! Huskies down 6. Ensuing Michigan possession. Reed forces the turnover. Able to save it to solo ball, but he misses a huge moment there. Ensuing Michigan possession as play continues. Merez Johnson Jr., loose ball, Gale to Trey McKinney, sidestep for 3, and he buries it, the true freshman, with Michigan's second made 3 of the game. What a moment there for the Wolverines. 45 seconds left. UConn down 7, needs something here. Solo ball, also injured. Bank is open, down 4. Michigan trying to ice it at the line, made 20 straight free throws. First attempt, no. Second attempt, Gale, nothing. Huskies with life. Ensuing UConn possession, Malachi Smith to Caravan for 3. Caravan finished with a team-high 17 points, needed a few more, added 11 rebounds, and that's about it and about all, because with 10 seconds left, Michigan with the full court heave and nothing that UConn can do with it as time expires. And Michigan, hail to the victors, 69-63 as they win their second national title in school history, first since 1989. And for UConn, their first loss in a national championship in school history. This is May. Dusty May in year 2 leads Michigan to its first national championship in 37 years. And you consider this a full circle moment in the Circle City for Dusty May. Born and raised in the state of Indiana, and he leads Michigan to the national championship here in Indianapolis. My, oh my. Hail to the victors indeed, Avery. Look, what the Wolverines did in this tournament, I mean, they tore through the tournament. They cut down nets here. And what you saw from Michigan is their will to win. They can play you at this point level, right? Like, they were scoring 90 points. They can win a game in the 60s. What did they show you on this night as they have the championship DNA?
That they can win a heavyweight matchup.
Yep.
You know, when you look at what UConn tried to do tonight, this was kind of a UConn Big East type basketball game. Very, very physical, low scoring. This was actually a win for UConn in so many ways because what? Michigan is the first time they hadn't scored 90 points in the last 5 games. So from a defensive standpoint, I thought UConn was very competitive. They They were good on the boards. They got 22 offensive rebounds. But unfortunately for UConn, the one thing that they couldn't do is really establish on a consistent basis Terrence Reed down low. And when you couldn't establish him on a consistent basis, then you're not going to draw double teams. They live with the single coverage with Mara and Lindenbohr and Johnson when he was guarding him. They weren't going to double team and unlock that three-point shooting, which was then problematic for UConn. But give Michigan credit. They dominated from the free throw line. If you'd have told me they were only going to make 2 threes and win this game and get out-rebounded, I would have said you're crazy. But their defense was terrific tonight.
Yeah, there's a couple things that stood out for me. I mean, number one, Coach just kind of mentioned it. Michigan is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country all season. They were 31st in the nation in three-point field goal percentage. Heading into the Final Four, there was only one player who played significant minutes for Michigan that shot less than 36% from three, and that was Morez Johnson Jr., who just so happened to have a double-double in this game. Everybody was shooting the lights out from the three-point line for Michigan. That was number one. You had to surpass that. Number two, they didn't really get much in transition, which is a lot of times that's how that avalanche of offense happens for Michigan, of getting out and running in transition. So that didn't happen. And then also they lost the battle of the boards. So you say, okay, wait a second. You're not shooting threes. You weren't out in transition. You lost the battle of the boards. How did you win this game? 2 ways. Number one, they were big time attacking inside the paint to get to the free throw line. Totally dominant inside of the paint. That was number one. And number two, Dusty May's defensive scheme was off the charts. There were at least 8 times where UConn tried to run action for Caravan to get a three, to get him back in it, or Mullins to get a three, to get him back in it, and it was just suffocating. Switch out, deny, nothing on the perimeter was easy for UConn. The defensive game plan for Michigan was incredible. That is what really won them the game.
And from a defensive standpoint, I'll add one thing. Because of Lindenborg's injury, they started him on Silas Demiri. What did he get? 2 points. I think I can come out of retirement and get 2 points in the game.
Really?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just in my mind.
Okay,
Don't
in
worry
your
about
mind.
it. Yeah.
I don't doubt you, Coach.
But they hit him on Silas, and Silas got in foul trouble.
He did. And you mentioned the defense. UConn finished 1 of 7 from the field to end this game, 31% from the field. You mentioned the points in the paint. Michigan outscored UConn 36-22 in the paint. Look, I want to take you back to a critical moment in the first half at the 3-minute mark. This isn't going to be shown in the highlight. This is not necessarily going to be shown on breakdown tapes. Hook and hold on Alex Caravan, right?
Yeah.
I'm arguing. I'm like, no, it's not a hook and hold. Morez Johnson Jr., 2 shots plus the ball, makes both to tie the game. They never trailed after that. It was a massive swing in the game.
Yeah, it was a textbook hook and hold.
It
by
was.
The way.
You're right.
I mean,
as an
really,
Ohio State
honest,
fan, you know I wanted to battle it.
I totally understand. How and that just felt like it was going back and forth. It was a gritty physical game. Coach alluded to it, and it was really kind of playing in the hands of UConn. I'm looking up and I'm like, okay, this is a favoring UConn. Hook and hold happens, and then the momentum shifted.
Yeah.
And then really, right after that, that's when Cadeau started to really open things up for Michigan on the offensive side of the floor.
And I'll tell you something else in the first half that was very successful for Michigan. Inside that 4-minute mark, they threw out their little 1-2-1-1 press to try to bring some energy to their defense because they didn't have but 2 or 3 team fouls. So even if they would have fouled a little bit, they'd still be in good shape. But they put Morez Johnson Jr. at the head of that press. Sometimes they put Yaxel up there, but it gave them some energy, and it also ate into the shot clock for Connecticut, that when they got the ball across half court, they didn't have as much time to operate.
Yeah, UConn missed 11 straight threes at one point in the second half, and there was a moment there where UConn could have cut it to 4. Caravan makes a 3 to make it 62-56. They force a turnover. They miss a layup that would have cut it to 4, and then Trey McKinney, the true freshman, hits a massive 3. And look, when you look at what Michigan was able to do, it's so impressive on a night where Yaxel Lindenbohr in the first half was 1 of 5 for 4 points. He said, quote, I feel awful. I feel super weak right now. I'm missing plays that I don't usually miss. He goes for 9 of his 13 in the second half. That really was what they needed there in the second half to see him get going, Avery.
And I was looking at the first 8-10 minutes of the game. I don't even think he looked at the basket.
Yeah.
He wasn't aggressive at all but then he started to kick it in gear a little bit in the second half. They found that mismatch a couple of times when Mullins switched on him. He either scored or he kicked it out for a three.
When you look at what this means for Dusty May, he took over this program 8-24. He wins a national championship in year 2. This is, you know what this is? This is Curt Cignetti. I mean, this is what's going on here, right? You come to the new program in the Big Ten. He snaps the streak 2000 with Michigan State, right? That was the last time that the Big Ten had won a title. And now you have Dusty May in year 2, and now all these ADs and presidents go, well, if he can do that, now we expect you to do that. Do you see what Dusty May has just accomplished? And I'm so happy for him, the Indiana native, winning here in Indianapolis.
So I think Dusty May is if you really, understand the coaching ranks, you have relationships, and you talk to guys about Dusty May, and everybody's going to talk about how good of a coach he is, and he is that, and he's a great motivator, and he gets the most out of his players. Dusty May is an elite talent evaluator. And at Florida Atlantic, that was his thing, to find guys that really diamonds in the rough. And he did that. I mean, Yax Lenderborg was the #1 transfer portal recruit.
Yep.
But outside of that, it was a handful of guys that really didn't fit in other systems. He's an elite talent evaluator and put together a national championship roster.
Avery, what do you appreciate about what you just witnessed from Dusty May and the legacy here in year 2?
I thought, from a relationship standpoint, family atmosphere with his players, he created that. He's not as boisterous as Dan Hurley, but he did it his way. He did it calm, cool, and collected. Now, behind the scenes, he's probably a lot more fiery than what we see in public display. But he's a player's coach. That doesn't always sell, but it works for him.
Well, what we usually do is we shout, "This is March." Well, we're in April, but this is May. Dusty May leading Michigan to a national championship in year 2. As you take a look at what he's accomplished, the most wins in the first 2 seasons as a head coach of any school. He's now matched with John Calipari from 2009 to 2011. Dusty May here winning the national championship and cutting down nets in Indy.
Smith snakes inside, flame to roll, no, rebound loose, spike to the deck, picked up by Gale, he flings it to the other side, game clock at 3, Karaban catches, that's it! Michigan wins, 69-63! The leaders and best reach college basketball's pinnacle for the second time! Michigan wins the national championship! 69-63 over the Huskies of Connecticut. And Terry Mills, you and that 1989 team finally have company.
Time now for Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, presented by FedEx. Back here inside Lucas Oil Stadium as our national championship coverage continues. Hakeem Dermish alongside Mike O'Donnell and Avery Johnson. And look, Avery, Elliot Cadeau delivered for the Michigan Wolverines, 19 points, and earned most outstanding player.
Yeah, Elliot Cadeau was outstanding. And I love the way he was like a little maestro on the floor. He had some problems making shots in the semifinal game and also taking care of the basketball. But I thought, even three-point play, going to the basket, putting pressure on Connecticut's defense, knowing who was in foul trouble, just coming off screens, playing that two-man game. Look at the little escape dribble, and here was the one I was talking about. Power move. I just loved his game. But with all due respect to Cadeau, I want to give a big shout out to Morris Johnson Jr.
Yep.
12 points, 10 rebounds, 2 block shots.
Yep.
And so that weak side defense against Terrence Reed inside when Myra Lindenborg was on him. I thought this guy he's my 1B. But Cadeau, yes.
Cadeau was great. I mean, just like Coach said, you think about the smallest guy on the floor, hit the most free throws for Michigan. And the free throw line was just such a huge key for the Wolverines in this game. And bouncing off and going one more guy, when you look at the stat line, you're going to say, he was okay, 8 points, 4 rebounds. Mara probably altered at least 10 shots in this game.
Yeah.
At least. And his ability, like we talked about it before, it's a huge key. It's not just the block shots. It's the shots that he forces you to take that you don't practice. That's such a great value as a rim protector. And we saw that on full display. I mean, Terrace Reed, he took 12 shots. He had to work for every single bucket. He couldn't really find a rhythm. Nobody else in the front court for UConn could find a rhythm, and that was due to Mara, but also, you are correct, Morez Johnson Jr. was an absolute tank down low tonight.
You know, we should call that stat for what you just described, intimidates. Right,
yeah,
Mara had X amount of intimidates, and able to sort of distract and disrupt the offense there, right? I mean, that'd be something that you could qualify.
And if he would have made a couple of his left-handed jump hooks around the basket and Michigan makes some threes, this could have gotten really ugly. But, hey, give Connecticut credit. They hung in there. But Cadeau, Morris Johnson, Mara, incredible.
UConn's defense, their scatter report was fantastic. They executed it perfectly. I mean, that was a really, really good defensive effort by UConn. It was just they could not manufacture shots because Michigan's defensive scatter report was just a little bit better.
This was a difficult night for me, right? Because I'm an Ohio guy, right? But I live in Connecticut. I picked Michigan on Selection Sunday to win it all. And I'm right.
Humble brag.
My prediction is correct, but I can't root for the maize and blue. So congratulations to Michigan. Great, go cut down the nets. Have your one shining moment. I'm really happy for you. I'm really happy for Dusty May. But look, we're sports fans. This is emotional stuff, man. I mean, I watched.
Your pick is incorrect.
Well,
because you pick UConn.
Hey,
your pick
right,
is
right.
No,
but my bracket, there's a record of that.
No,
and it's on the air too.
It doesn't matter. It's incorrect. You change your mind.
Well, guess what? Michigan had all the answers here in this NCAA tournament as they win their second national championship in school history, first since 1989. And man, I'm telling you what, it was an absolute masterclass for Michigan. 713 points. That is the best point differential in a season in Big Ten history as they snap the streak in the Big Ten as well. Michigan winning the first title for the conference since 2000.
And this UConn-Michigan national title game recap is presented by Belfour Property Restoration. Chris Williamson here alongside a couple of Tar Heels, John Henson and Chip Patterson. And we didn't know how this game was going to end because UConn somehow always finds a way to get back into these games. It looked like we were starting to see some of that again, maybe what happened to Duke. But in the end, John, Michigan, their defense, their timely buckets in transition, that proved to be the difference and why they're going to hoist the national championship trophy.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us sitting here in the studio were ever worried the whole game that Michigan was going to maybe give this lead. Now, yes, it was a 6-point game, but, I mean, UConn had to have some prayers answered the last 3 or 4 possessions with the threes falling, and they were still down double possessions and needed another 3, and they ran out of time. Michigan hits their free throw. Did they miss? They missed 2 today.
Right. Yeah, 25 and 28.
25 and 28. Yeah. That's championship basketball. Look, they were the best team all year, faltered a little bit, but when you look at the stats and their net rating and all that good stuff, this is the team that should have came out on top, and that's what happened.
Sometimes your national championship game performance isn't the lead of your championship book because this performance in this game does not represent the elite level that Michigan played with all season long. But Michigan goes down as an all-time champion because of this win, because of the way that they were able to hold on. Now, what they were, you talk about their net rating, offensive and defensive efficiency, the way that they plowed through the NCAA tournament, again, until this game, the number of double-digit wins they had all during the season, the best point differential in Big Ten history. This was a clash of two iconic things in basketball. We had the best program of the moment and the best team of the season colliding. And I think that UConn ultimately knew deep down that they were flawed. This wasn't even going to be if they had won the best UConn team that had cut down nets. And Michigan felt like they had to get over so much. I mean, a program that was 1-6 in national championship games. You lose in the 2013 title game. You lose in the 2018 title game. Not even to mention 1991, 1992, and just sort of this overall nightmare of all these losses on Monday night. what it must feel like. John, I almost wonder if it had to be difficult, right? If for Michigan to truly break through, to snap a 26-year drought for the Big Ten, to win it all, it was just never going to be pretty. It was never going to be easy. They had to conquer the final boss, and in 2026, the final boss is Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies.
Yeah, it's fitting, man. Like you said, the final boss, Dan Hurley, 3 out of 4 Final Fours, has never. I mean, his record in the tournament is flawless. So this was a worthy opponent. UConn fought, they clawed, but ultimately Michigan was just too much. And yeah, the score looks like it was close, but this Michigan team was up 9 points with a minute or so to go. So it was a nice win for them, and deservedly so. The best team wins a trophy. I like when that happens personally. Nobody's arguing about this. Hey, look, Michigan was a team. Michigan was a team, and they performed at a level, won 6 games in a row. That's all it takes, and now they're champions.
You know what's crazy, Chip?
Yeah.
UConn out-rebounded Michigan 46-39, and they were the Wolverines still able to find a way when they only made 2 threes. But this is what we've been talking about all season long. The Wolverines, they know how to win in so many different ways. And how about, since you guys are both former Tar Heels, Elliot Cadeau, the narrative about him when he was with UNC, leaving, not a lot of people were high on him. The fact that he's able to tie his career high, make some really great plays down the stretch. What does it say about his tenacity and resolve, especially when things weren't so good back at UNC?
I think this is a coaching win, right? I think Dusty May said, look, you know what? I'm going to help this kid out. I see what he can be. We talked about the previous game. They said, hey, look, we're going to have trouble with the length. Get it up on the rim, right? So I think Dusty May helped him out as far as a player, and then instill confidence. I remember when I was in Milwaukee, Coach Budenholzer comes in. He goes, let it fly. We don't care, right? Let it fly. Shoot with confidence. And that's all Elliot Cadeau needed, clearly. I mean, he was a 40% three-point shooter when the three-point shot was kind of his Achilles heel at Carolina. Happy for the kid to find a new home. And the NIL, that's a positive right there. Kid finds a new home, he wins a championship. Happy for Elliot. And look, man, Dusty May, I think this is the first of maybe a couple that he has a chance to win.
I'm going to do one of those things that writers do and take 40 minutes and try to make it about his entire career. He was 2 for 10 at one point in this game. Yep. He finishes 5 for 11. That means he knocks down 3 of his last 4 shots. He also adds on some clutch free throws to be able to help Michigan maintain that lead. The resilience that it takes to be able to power through not living up to everything you thought you were going to do at your previous stop and then succeeding now. We saw it in this game with not being able to get those buckets to fall and then coming up with some of the biggest shots of the second half.
The best point guard in his high school class. I mean, so I don't think the predicators are shocked about what's going on. He's finally living up to his billing.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while for you to find your groove, and that is what my man Elliot Cadeau did on this night. And look at this. Michigan tied for the most wins in a season by a Big Ten team with 37, along with Illinois going back to 04-05. Remember, that was the team led by Darren Williams, Luther Head, and Dee Brown. But that team didn't win a ship. Michigan does here against UConn, 69-63. This player of the game is presented by Belfour Property Restoration, and we're back here with the guys, Chip Patterson, John Henson, and so many players that you could, or a few players that you could go when it comes to player of the game in this matchup versus UConn. John, I'll start with you. Who is your player of the game?
I'm going to go Elliot Cadeau. In the second half down the stretch, I love how he constantly just puts pressure on the defense. Every possession, every pick and roll, he's live. He's live to score, live to pass. He may turn it over, but he attacks. And that pressure ultimately was what broke kind of the UConn defense and let them kind of separate. He got the drive down the lane. He got a shot blocked, but keep putting pressure on the rim. Good things are going to happen. Player of the game, 19 points. Coming from where he came from, in a space where Carolina he kind of left unceremoniously. Could be more happy for him. I mean, he's been the guy for them the last game, 10 assists to kind of get them rolling as well. He deserves it.
Cadeau was the closer today, so I'm going to throw it to the opener here. Yeah. So while the final stat line was 12 points and 10 rebounds for Morez Johnson, man, he was a tone setter in the first half. 10 of those 12 points all came in the first half. And while Michigan was out there going over from behind the arc, that would be Morez Johnson who was getting it done, making sure that they stayed productive with a lot of those points in the paint. He also came up with some key defensive plays, a couple of blocks that were huge. Then, of course, when you have double-digit rebounds, it's always going to be a boost for your team. No pushback against Cadeau, but if we're sharing the love here, now I think that there's a lot of options. And Morez Johnson, the way that he started and he allowed Michigan to have the lead at halftime, even though they had done so poorly shooting it from three, that had to give them a little bit of confidence.
100%. And he also had some game-changing blocks right in transition. Avery Johnson talked about that pregame. The way they get after you in transition off a miss or even a made basket, it is special. And Morez Johnson Jr. was one of the keys to get them this national title win. Chip Patterson, John Henson, breaking it down like the bosses they are.